Growing up, I was always the littlest guy on my team. Even now, I think I still am. And so when I speak to those undersized guys that are trying to find how they can make an impact on the team, how they can be vocal leaders, you can't lead by example. You can be the hardest working guy on the team. The first one in, last one out type of mentality. That underdog, kind of thought process is something that drove me for a very long time to prove, naysayers wrong. But mostly it's all based on the confidence that you have in yourself. You don't listen to what anybody says you can't do because you know that you can. It might be tough. It might be, you might have to overcome a lot more than the next guy next to you, but that's what makes it all worth it. You can impact, people by how you approach your everyday. And that's something that I still try to do. There were two huge turning points in my life when I kind of understood a lot about myself and the certain decisions that I made. I didn't necessarily regret them, but it exposed me to my own kind of confidence and thought process. And when I was a freshman, I didn't take a chance at trying out for the varsity team. I felt a little scared, a little nervous, and I think I took the easy way out, trying to play JV and not really, putting myself out there and shooting for the moon. And about halfway through my JV season, I really regretted that decision because I felt like I was good enough to play on the next level, but I didn't really have that belief to put that into action when the time mattered. And so I told myself I would never be timid about anything like that ever again. And then, fast forward to my senior year in high school, I wasn't getting recruited as heavily as I thought I was supposed to. The waiting process trying to get recruited was really stressful. It really nagged at me pretty much every day. It drove me to work hard, but then when I didn't have any patience then. I was getting frustrated with the process because I felt like the time that I had put in and my own belief in my game at that point wasn't being reflected in the scholarship offers and the attention from the big time Division I schools. And none of it worked out. And so it wasn't a great feeling, but when I was able to pick a school in Davidson, a real small school, nobody knew about them from a basketball standpoint, that I was able to create my own journey and my own story, and understanding the power and the beauty in that and embracing it. It taught me patience. It taught me to appreciate the opportunity you have and that everything happens for a reason, and to embrace whatever your story is. And the rest is history. I'm Stephen Curry, and this is my masterclass. I've been playing basketball since I was 5, and there's obviously an evolution to the game and trying to get better and kind of staying ahead of the curve when it comes to elevating your game for each level of competition. And there was a point in high school where I had to really look at my form and see how I could improve so that I could be ready to play at that time on the varsity level in high school. Up until my freshman year in high school, I used to shoot kind of like a catapult where I wasn't always the strongest kid. I was usually the shortest kid on my team. So in order for me to shoot from further out, I kind of had to sling it from basically below my waist and kind of just basically catapult it as hard as I could. I naturally had a pretty good touch, pretty good aim, and pretty good rhythm with it, but my release point was entirely too low for me to really be effective on that varsity level with taller defenders, taller guys trying to guard me. And so there came a time between my freshman and sophomore year where me and my dad kind of talked about breaking down my form from the ground up so that I could really raise my release point to where it is right now, so that I didn't get my shot blocked on the varsity floor in high school. So, the change was tough. It was probably one of the most frustrating summers of my life, basketball-wise. It took thousands and thousands of reps to really change my form from that catapult shooting from here from my waist to bringing the ball above my head where I shoot now. But obviously in the end, it was all worth it. So there was a time where basically for 3 months in the summer, I couldn't leave the paint to really work on the mechanics of my shot, the rhythm of my shot, getting stronger so that I could repeat that form every single time. And you had to be patient, and so that's something that really helped me, become a better basketball player, a better shooter, and be ready for that next level of competition on the varsity level. There's so many different shots you can take on the court, whether it's catch and shoot, off the dribble, catching on the move. Everything is very similar when it comes to your form and your mechanics because it all starts from the ground up. So if your balance is straight and you're squared up to the rim as best you can, you're going to have a lot more consistency with your jump shot. So we always try to teach 10 toes to the rim. So no matter where you are on the court, no matter how you get into that shot, right before you're ready to release, you should have your 10 toes facing squared up to the rim. Naturally, for me, what feels comfortable is a slight twist to the left. So I'm not perfectly square to the basket. I usually have my feet about 10 to 15 degrees pointed to the left, but they're all pointing in the same direction. I don't have 1 foot going this way, 1 foot going that way. I try to stay as square as possible, 10 toes facing the same direction, but they're a little off center to the left. That's just what's natural for me and my body and my mechanics and my shot. And for you, finding what that balance is something that you need to get out on the floor and just see what feels comfortable. But the consistent thing across the board with all great shooters is those 10 toes facing in the same direction. From there, your hips and your chest are going to follow that same pattern and be facing right at the basket where you want to shoot. All the greatest shooters are great at using their legs as the foundation for their shot. They don't shoot with their arms. They shoot with their legs first so they get that energy, that flow, and that motion and that power through their jump shot, and everything else is kind of a flow from there. So the best way to get into that position, obviously we talked about 10 toes to the rim, loading our hips, our backside, and getting into this good shooting position, this good, well-balanced athletic position is key. We don't want to have our knees bent in. We call that valgus. We don't want to have our knees bent in or out. We want to have everything squared, shoulders, toes, hips all in the same line. And we don't want to have our knees in front of our toes. Then we lose our balance. All right, we want to have our knees behind our toes, loaded into our hips, loaded into our glutes. And from there, you can basically be able in great athletic position to be able to rise out of your shot and really explode through your core. So that's where you get all of your motion. That's how you can shoot the same from whether it's in the paint all the way out into the deep three area, all because of that core and that power that you get from loading your lower body in the right way. Another key to great balance is we call it finding your arch. And so any athletic position, to be able to have that balance and that strength through your feet, you basically take the arch of your foot and you plant that into the ground as best you can. We don't want to be able to roll out on the outside of our feet. One, you're going to create injuries, and two, you're just not going to have any balance and strength through your jump shot. So finding that arch is key. Planting it into the ground, allowing all of that energy and that strength come up through your lower body, and being able to get out of that position into a nice jump shot, a nice extended position from there. In this day and age, almost everybody has a cell phone or some way to video themselves on the court and video the mechanics of their shot. And that's one of the best ways to learn kind of what you're doing, to take yourself outside your body, video yourself shooting and see where you can improve on your mechanics and the subtle details that might need a little bit of tweaking that you might not be able to feel, but you can be able to see. So videoing yourself shooting the basketball would be a great way to help you learn about your mechanics. Having one leg in front of the other will turn your chest and cause the ball to move side to side. If your knees bend in, you lose power and balance, and you can injure yourself. If you bend your knees outward, you'll sacrifice power and you won't be in an athletic position to counter or beat your defender. If you point your feet away from the basket, you'll turn your chest and have trouble with accuracy. If your feet turn a little bit naturally, that's okay, but too far, and you're going to run into a lot of problems. If your knees are out in front of your toes, that means your hips are not loaded. And if your hips are not loaded, your shot's going to be all upper body, which will make it tough to add range to your mechanics. So the ball positioning in my hand is a huge key to becoming a more consistent shooter and creating that feel and touch that you need to get proper spin on the ball, and also have a great connection from your hand to the ball so that your release can be as high as you want and you still have control over it. So the first part is that you don't want the ball sitting in the palm of your hand. It's almost like a rock just sitting right there in the palm of your hand. What I try to teach is to have a little space in between my palm and the ball, with the ball sitting in the pads of my fingertips. That allows me to get the proper spin on the ball, the proper rotation, and I just have more touch and more control over it. From there, I try to teach where your hand positioning is on the ball, and try to create a straight line down the center of the ball so that you can have a proper release, so that the ball stays on line where your arm is targeted to the rim. The best way to do that, taking your dominant hand, whatever your shooting hand is, finding the air valve on the basketball, and taking your lead finger and putting it right on top of that air valve right here. From there, I know my hand's centered on the ball, and you can kind of get a sense of what that feels like. And take a couple practice shots, just staring at the rim, doing form shooting with your finger right on top of that valve. Obviously, in a game, things are going to be happening pretty fast. You're going to catch the ball in all different positionings, but you can always get back to that center position if you train yourself what that feels like. I ask people all the time, when you catch and you're ready to shoot, like, what do your eyes lock in on as a target? Some people just say simply the rim. Some people say the back of the rim. Some people say they look at the square and trying to line up the ball right in between the square. For me, what I feel is most comfortable, when I look at the rim, I look where the rim and the net meet. There are always these little hooks that attach the net to the rim. And for me, there's always 2, sometimes 3 hooks facing me, which are almost the same width as a basketball. And so my goal is to put that basketball right on those hooks, looking at the front of the rim, so that I remind myself to have as much arc as I can so that the ball is traveling down as it's coming to the rim, instead of having a flat jump shot that's most likely going to hit the back of the rim. I want to look at the front of the rim and just try to put that ball just over the front of the rim with a little bit of touch, a little bit of arc. So in case I'm not perfect in swishing it, I give myself a good opportunity to get a soft bounce on the rim. There's always 2 hooks, sometimes 3, that are always facing you no matter where you are on the court. And that's what I lock in on, whether I'm doing form shooting to get my workout started, or during games when everything's moving really fast. That's the one thing and the one piece of target that doesn't change. Your release point is a very important part of your shot because it determines how close a defender needs to be to you to affect your jump shot. So if I imagine a defender that's right in front of me, if I'm shooting from a release point that's pretty low, he doesn't really have to close out very close to me to affect that jump shot, either to block it or to interrupt my angle or my eyesight to the basket. If I have a higher release point, just bringing the ball up here and being able to shoot from this position, it demands that defender has to be a lot closer to me to be able to contest that shot. And if the defender's closer to me, I know I have him right where I want him, because he's not going to block my shot because my release point is high, but it also allows those driving angles to open, because the closer he is to me, the harder it is for him to defend those driving angles. Obviously, we talked about having a high release. but you want to finish with your elbow above your eye as best you can. That's going to give you proper arc and give you a nice little entry point into the basket. Instead of having more of a flat release, we want to be able to point it up towards the sky with that elbow high above our eye. We don't want to have it coming across our body. We don't want to have that chicken wing kind of elbow situation out here to the side. We want to have a kind of a perfect line from my hip up through the release point, elbow above my eye. From the side vision, you should be able to still see my eye, so I'm not up here facing away from the basket. I'm in just a natural position with my my elbow above my eye. It's just a little bit out, and I have a nice positioning to be able to follow through. At the top of your finish, you got to have that gooseneck kind of a feel with your elbow above your eye, your elbow fully extended, and you can almost have a visual. If you do this follow through right in front of the basket, it's almost like you're putting your fingers right into the basket and putting that gooseneck right into your target. So that's kind of what you want to visualize as you finish with a high follow through and great extension on your jump shot. Here, Brandon is fanning his shooting hand, which makes the ball spin sideways and move from side to side. Similar to fanning, thumbing gives you the left to right action and side spin. You need to keep that thumb from pushing the ball forward. When you release and finish, make sure your elbow isn't too high. We don't want too much arc on the basketball. We want about a 45 to 48 degree arc. Anything higher than that, you start to lose a little bit of control and accuracy. You also don't want to finish with your arms too low, which will create a flat shot. We want to be what we call two-eyed shooters. Don't cover one eye with your arm, as it'll cause left to right or right to left movement of the ball. Shooting the basketball is such a unique journey and experience because there are subtle differences between the way everybody shoots. You can look at the great shooters in basketball history. Almost all of them shoot a little bit differently, but they own their mechanics and they're able to repeat those over and over again. So I'm giving guidelines about how to shoot, and there's things that you can copy and that you can work on. But you don't want to fall into the trap of comparing yourself to other great shooters. What you want to compare yourself to is how many shots did I make yesterday versus today? Am I getting better? Am I challenging myself? Am I pushing myself to the next limit? Best way, obviously, is to just count your makes. For me, I shoot 100 threes to end every workout. And I know based on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, if I can get better, and I set a goal for myself. And you don't leave the gym until you get better. So being able to track those stats and track your progression and give yourself a goal to reach is the best way to compare yourself to yourself and get better. The reason we have such high expectations for perfecting this form when we're shooting, wide open shots, whether it's close to the basket or as we step out into, to deeper ranges, is translating that to the game where there's so many other variables going on. There's defenders, there's teammates, the speed of the game is a lot faster. So we want to be able to translate, for me, I shoot 100 shots. If I make 87, that's probably going to translate to about 60 or so in a game. And so thinking about, setting yourself high expectations and a high bar for when you're out here by yourself and really getting better and better and better so that in the game, you're able to up your accuracy and your consistency as a jump shot maker. Because we don't want to be jump shot takers, we want to be jump shot makers. Along the way, you're going to have days where you miss a lot of shots. And for me, I've missed plenty of shots in my day. I've lost games. That's going to happen. The best way for you to get better is to learn from that. Why are you missing? How can you assess your mechanics in that moment to understand how I can get better and how I can take advantage of the opportunity to learn. So don't get discouraged. Don't lose confidence in yourself. Understand that misses are going to happen, but there's always room for improvement and always a chance for you to learn something about yourself as a shooter and as a basketball player. When I come into the gym to start my workout, you might think I just step out to the three-point line and start jacking up threes. That's not the best approach for me. When I start in close and start on my form shots and get my repetitions up and work on my mechanics, the thing that I want to accomplish is I want to have perfect makes to start my workout for a lot of different reasons. One is to build confidence, to see the ball go in early in the workout so that you build that confidence up for the rest of the time in the gym. You want to be able to get those perfect makes because if you're not perfect here right in front of the basket, there's no way you're going to be perfect behind that three-point line or even further out. Because if I'm missing left and right inside the paint, those same misses, I might make them in close because there's not a lot of room for error. But out of here and in the perimeter, if I'm missing shots left and right, it's going to be a long day in the gym. So the way that I practice my form shooting and getting those reps up to work on my mechanics is I start in close to the basket. All the keys that we talked about, getting shot ready, locking in on your target, having the perfect follow through and release point. You want to be able to start in close, see the ball get in the basket, work on that perfect make from in close, make about 5 makes right here in front of the rim, take a big step back, repeat that process, shooting 5 perfect makes, doing 4 spots back right in front of the rim. So that's 20 makes right there. We want to get to 100, and obviously we have 5 spots that we can go around to work on all the different angles around the basket. So we repeat that, right side of the rim, right wing, top in front, right here in front of the top of the key, left wing, left corner. Get your 100 makes, build your confidence, get those perfect makes in, and that's how you start your workout. This work seems simple, but it's stuff I do every single day. I can't stress enough how important it is to practice these basics until they're as close to perfect as you can get them. The worst thing you can do as a basketball player is to come into the gym and start firing shots up from the three-point line. You need to warm up and calibrate your mechanics in close to the basket. So your form shooting practice progression should be to start at the rim, hit 5 perfect makes, take a step back, hit 5, and keep stepping backwards until you shot from 4 spots out. Then repeat from those 5 different angles around the basket. So obviously the goal that we want you to get to is to make 100 perfect form shots with the perfect mechanics and the perfect make to build your confidence and your muscle memory. You know, right away that might be tough. You don't want to let fatigue change your mechanics or change the way that you shoot. You want to be able to build that endurance up. For me, when I was changing my shot in high school, I was starting to paint and I would get tired around shot 30 or 40. And for me to really put that time in to make that change, I had to kind of take a break, however long it took to kind of recover and then come back and build my endurance up. So take that kind of principle, and once you're able to get 100 perfect form makes in one session, just think about, doing that 5 times a week for 10 months. That'll get you 20,000, perfect form shots. And from there, you can pretty much have that consistency and that muscle memory to be able to rely on that in competition or in a game like setting. So it takes time, but it's worth the time. Sometimes you might be sitting at home thinking, how am I going to get better today? I don't have anybody around to help me get shots up, to help me rebound, to go to the gym with me. You can't let that be an excuse for you, to not take advantage of the opportunity to go get better. And so a simple, drill that you can work on if it's just you, a basketball, and a rim is perfecting the the toss back to yourself to be able to get into that shot ready position and work on your mechanics. So it may seem simple, but the simple art of being able to throw the ball out with a little bit of backspin and get it into your shot is very, very key to be able to take advantage of those opportunities where you're in the gym by yourself and to get those reps up. So obviously, if I just take a little spin here, I can almost simulate a pass coming into my shot pocket, getting my mechanics right, and being able to shoot from that position, get the ball back. I can do it all over again from all different angles, and you can work on your shot that way. So I can do the rollouts from all different angles. I can do it where I'm doing a little curl into the basket. You can almost even do a step back where you come in here and get shot ready. So everything is simulating a game-type pass into my jump shot, even when I'm all by myself. I learned a lot from my dad about the art of shooting, and even to the point of, in workouts when you're getting shots up by yourself. He told me about a story like Larry Bird used to shoot a shot and hit the back of the rim and it would roll back to you. So you can always try to perfect that when you're in the gym by yourself, and you can be your own rebounder. I've shot countless shots in my life from the time I started playing, even now when I'm in the NBA. And as you probably know, I don't make every shot that I take. Misses happen, whether it's in practice, whether it's in the game. The biggest test for me to know if my shot is in sync and in motion, or if there's something I need to fix, is if my shot starts to miss left or right. That's when I know there's something wrong with my balance, my mechanics, my release point. There's something off along the chain that I need to address. The best way for me to miss, if that makes any sense, is to miss short and long, because I know that that's just a touch thing and that's just getting my reps in and finding that rhythm. But once I start missing left and right, that's where you really kind of have to check and see your mechanics from the ground up through your release, where something might not feel right or where something's off. And so when I'm out there on the court, I'm okay if it's short or if it's long, as long as I know where my hooks are and those targets I was talking about. As long as I'm hitting those points, I know eventually I'll find, that right rhythm to start making shots. A great example of learning from a miss for me is when I start to miss the shot to the right. Most of the time for me, that means that I'm fanning my follow through. I'm not following through straight as I normally would. I'm fanning it off to the right, and normally that ball is going to follow that same path of my follow through. So when I start to get the little miss, I miss that ball to the right because my follow through is off. So seeing the ball in the finish, I can work backwards and understand what about my mechanics push that ball to the right. And for most of the time, for me, that means I'm fanning my follow through off to the right. Another way to learn from a miss is, for me, when I'm missing short, most of the times that means I'm only shooting with my arms and I'm not using my base and my legs to be the foundation of my shot. So it might be fatigue, it might be just laziness, it might be a lack of focus on my mechanics, but missing short is usually a result of not using your legs. And so when you see that miss start to happen really frequently, look at your balance, look at your shot readiness from a lower body standpoint, and see if that will help you correct that miss. So probably the most common way to get into your shot in a game is probably going to be off catch and shoot. There's a lot of motion on the floor. You might not necessarily have the ball every possession, but that point in time where you're receiving a pass to go into your shot is going to happen. And so to be ready for that, like we talked about, having good balance, doing our work early, having our feet, our hips, our chest, and our hands ready to receive a pass, so that we're shot ready and ready to really capitalize on any kind of space we have to get our shot off. So in order to do that, obviously, I want to be in that position ready to catch the ball before the ball even comes. So before I even see my teammate passing me the ball, I'm already ready in good balance and in good shot ready form here. From there, wherever the pass comes from, I'm showing 10 fingers to catch the ball. I don't want to have my hands down. I don't want to have my hands out here. I want to have everything ready to catch that ball so that I can do something with it as soon as I catch it, as soon as it hits my hands. Showing those 10 fingers to your teammate is really important because obviously you want the ball because you're ready to shoot. From there, when I catch the ball, wherever the ball comes in, we kind of classify that as the level of the catch. So from here, when I catch the ball, I don't want to take that ball from here much lower than maybe an inch or two below that to get into my shot because one, we're going to waste time, and two, it's just hard to repeat this motion if I'm catching and dropping the ball and then coming back up for my shot. So wherever that ball comes in, you may drop it a little bit to get your rhythm and get the motion started, but from there, the ball should follow a straight line up into your shot pocket and into your release. So no matter where that ball comes from, I catch it here, I'm shot ready, I'm squared up to the basket, I'm in good balance. I catch, it's a straight line up to my release point above my head, wherever you feel comfortable, and you can kind of release it from there. It's extremely important to catch the ball with those 10 fingers ready to receive the ball outside. You don't want to let that ball get too close to your body. You don't want to let the ball kind of sneak up on you like that. You want to be ready to catch the ball for a lot of reasons. The most important being catching the ball shot ready not only allows you to have the consistency and the rhythm to be able to take a shot, but you're catching the ball in what we call a triple threat position, which gives you multiple options to use as a basketball player once you catch the ball. So obviously I can shoot. From this position, I'm in great balance to be able to catch and dribble. And from this position, I got good positioning, handling on the ball. My eyes are up surveying the floor. I can also be a passer from here. Those allow me to be extremely difficult to guard because I'm unpredictable when I have the ball. If I catch it here, you don't know if I'm ready to shoot, if I'm ready to blow by you and get to the basket, or if I'm ready to set up my teammate with a quick pass from this position. So as a defender, you're thinking about all those different options that you have to guard against. And that gives me the upper hand and the advantage against my defender. When I catch the ball shot ready, squared up to the basket, able to see the floor, they have to either close out to me really hard. They're going to either probably try to challenge my shot, which will allow me to open up so many different options for my teammates to be able to pass out of that position, to be able to drive the lane, draw even more defenders to me so that everything else opens up. If I catch the ball locked leg, not facing the basket, I'm no longer a shooting threat, and therefore the defense doesn't have to respect me with the basketball in my hands, and everybody else on the floor isn't a threat either because I was not able to catch the ball shot ready to do something with it. Sometimes in a game, when you have a lot of moving parts and defenders everywhere, and you got yourself open and you're ready to catch and shoot and you're waiting for that pass to come, that pass might not be always on time, on target. And what I mean by that, sometimes it might be outside your body, and it's up to you to have to adjust to meet the ball so that you're still shot ready and able to maximize your time and space and get that shot off no matter what's going on the floor. And the best way to do that, to keep the consistency of our mechanics, is if that pass is out to my right here, and I know I see it coming, I'm ready to get into my shot-ready positioning. Instead of just being lazy and reaching for the ball and having to bring it back to my body and then having to go into my shot-ready mechanics, I need to meet that ball where it is. And it's okay to make a sidestep to meet that ball, 10 fingers, 10 toes pointed at the rim, in a shot-ready position so that my shot release is as quick as it needs to be to get it off. So as that ball comes, I can still move to the side and get into my shot-ready positioning. No matter if it's over here too, I can do the same thing and catch it right in the center of my body, able to stay in line with the basket and get that shot off right when I need to. And even if the pass comes in low at your feet, which may happen from time to time in a game, instead of just you're already maybe in shot positioning, you're 10 fingers and toes to the rim, your chest is, and your hands are ready. Instead of just dropping your hands and just reaching for the ball and trying to lunge for it, all we do is just drop our hips a little bit lower, and we're still in shot-ready positioning, and I can just release from here. It may seem like a longer distance to travel, but my body is already in the same positioning as if I was here in my normal shot positioning. I just start a little bit lower. All my mechanics are the same, and I can be able to rise up and shoot it from there. To maximize the quickest release possible for you, it's really important to focus and lock in on the path that the ball takes from your catch-ready position to your final release point. So a lot of the mistakes that most people make is when they catch it here, they bring it through the center of their body, underneath their chin and their nose. And normal human reaction to that is to either have to move your head out of the way. You're obviously blocking your view of the rim, which is not good for your aim and for your eyesight. The best thing to do when you're catching shot ready, draw a line from your hip through the right side of your body, because I'm a right-handed shooter, up through your eyebrows and up into your shot position. So it kind of looks very, very similar to this. You come up right through here. I see the rim the entire time. I get up into my shot-ready position, into my high release point, and I can shoot it from there. Don't rotate your hands. You load your elbow of your shooting hand at your ribs and catch it so you're not rotating your hand across your body. Don't reach across your body. Move your body to the ball, chest, hips, and hands. Don't catch with flat hands or a catch in your palm. Don't catch the ball with your fingertips. When you catch the ball, you want to receive it in an athletic position. Don't catch upright, then dip down into your shot. Twisting too much during your jump will decrease your accuracy, as will jumping really far towards the basket. If you find yourself twisting or jumping too far, a good way to practice is to stand with both feet right behind the line and make sure that you jump from behind the line and land behind the line. When you start adding footwork to your shot, get a friend or teammate to rebound for you and pass you the ball as you move to it. A simple progression is 5 straight up and down, then 5 moving towards the basket, five moving away from the basket, and 5 to each side, going for perfect makes from each position. When you're moving laterally, it's important to keep your nose in the center of your body so you can go straight up into your shot. Be sure to drive through the ground, straight up and down, and move straight into shot-ready position so your heels don't touch the ground. Only start practicing this stuff once you've gotten down to static form shooting.
Your mechanics stay exactly the same. You're just adding the footwork.
Here's a three.
Watching film is a key part to my success because the saying goes, film never lies. And so what you see and how you kind of break it down and just putting yourself back in that position, whether it's a film clip of something you did or watching somebody else, you can always kind of apply it to your game and learn from it. And so, for me, I watch film to kind of critique myself and make sure I'm getting better, understanding, learning from my mistakes. Watching film as a player and being purposeful about what you're looking at is totally different experience than watching a game in real time or watching from a fan's perspective. Because it's not just about watching the ball or the ball go through the basket. But for me, I could watch the same clip like 20 times in a row and see something new every single time. Whether I'm watching myself the whole possession, whether I'm watching the guy that's guarding me the whole possession, whether you watch how all 5 guys on offense are moving together and understanding spacing and just the flow of that possession. I could watch the whole defense. I can even have fun and watch the reactions of fans in the crowd or my teammates and things like that. So you can get lost in just watching one clip and understanding all the intricacies of the game and of that single possession and why everything happens the way it does. So in this play right here, I'm the setup man, and it happens pretty fast, but you see the separation I was able to see between me and my defender and basically retrace my steps to come back out to the same spot I started. The play is designed for me to come off not 1, not 2, but 3 screens on the other side and come off on the left side of the court. But as I said, every play is not choreographed and things happen and you have to make adjustments and take what the defense is giving you. And so in this situation, I come off the first screen, and as soon as I get into the paint, I see that my defender's already committed to trying to beat me to the other side. And so I basically just stop in my tracks, come back to the other side, and at that point, he messed up, and I'm able to take my time, do a simple straight line pop. A great screen by my teammate Bogut because his man is trying to recover and get out to my shot, but he doesn't let that happen because he screens basically his own man. And from that point, I'm able to knock down that shot. You'll see that even though I have a lot of time to get my feet ready because there's so much separation between me and my defender, my mechanics still stay the same. So my preparation for this shot stays the same no matter if that guy was 1 foot away from me or 10 feet away from me. And so I catch the ball shot ready by getting my feet and toes squared to the basket as soon as I catch the ball. So there's no hesitation there. Even though I'm wide open, there's no reason to change my mechanics or do anything different than I would on any other possession.
2, here's a 3. And there you go.
The art of shooting is, honestly, to its core, it's a very complex science. There are so many different variables that go into it. So sometimes you may have what you feel like was the perfect form, but the ball came off your middle finger instead of your index finger, or those in and out shots that were right there on target were just a tough miss. And so obviously we're all seeking perfection. We want to make as many shots as we can, but sometimes it just doesn't work out that way. It shouldn't affect your confidence at all because it is such a hard thing to do. So the more time that you put into it, you're going to give yourself the best chance to be a more consistent jump shooter, but you can always get better and you can always find another way to take yourself to the next level. For me, when I was coming through college, I mostly played the shooting guard position, so I was mostly off the ball, receiving passes, and I had a great point guard that I played with at Davidson that was my setup man, and he always found me when I was open. But there came a time where he left school, after he graduated, and I had to make the transition over to being a full-time point guard. Still being a shooting threat and a scoring threat, but really having to work on my ball handling and becoming a much more efficient ball handler, being able to create space, being able to have that control of the basketball, to still have a quick release when I needed to shoot the basketball, and also being able to set other people up and always having the ability to be a threat in those three areas. And so I've spent a lot of time working on my ball handling skills, and the mechanics of it, the details of it, and being able to use those options to help me become a better shooter, because I feel like I'm more connected to the ball than ever. No matter what position you play on the court, there's going to be times where you have to handle the ball. And for me, getting from point A to point B and having that control over the basketball is so important to being an extreme threat and a very hard person to guard on the basketball court. Doesn't mean you have to have all those bells and whistles and tricks and all that kind of stuff, but just being able to have control of that basketball and knowing no matter what move you try or where you try to get on the floor, that ball is going to be connected to you is so important. The keys to becoming a great ball handler in your body position are very similar to those of being a great shooter, because your foundation is the same, so that you're always ready to shoot it at a moment's notice. So we always want to keep our nose behind our toes. We want to have our base really loaded. We don't want to have our back arched over like this, so we're off balance. We want to be able to see the whole floor. So I talk about nose behind our toes. We want to have our hips loaded, and we want to be able to dribble away from our feet. We don't want to have those situations where the ball is going to knock off your feet and you're going to lose your rhythm and your balance. So we always want to have that ball away from our feet in a very solid position. I'm in one position right now. Obviously, that doesn't happen in the game, but the foundation is still the same, no matter if I'm moving laterally, straight forward or back, or if I'm in a static position. And so the key to all that is balance. We want to be able to really work on what it feels like to move the ball around our body from a static position, so that when we are moving in a game-like situation, that ball is moving at the same speed as our body is. And we are always in balance and always ready to change direction, always ready to be shot ready, always having control of the basketball at all times. So we work on that by being in a solid athletic position, nose behind our toes, hips loaded. I can always just dribble out here. I can pound the ball into the ground. When I'm talking about doing a between the legs move, I want to be able to work on turning my shoulders and moving the basketball around my body, as opposed to moving my feet and becoming a less efficient dribbler. So I can work on that by just keeping my feet still, pounding the ball, going between my legs. So we always want to have that ball on a string and being able to do whatever we want to do with it. We like to teach having the basketball come up somewhere between your knee and your hip, which coincidentally is about the same space and the same height that you need to get into your shot pocket. So we don't want to dribble too low when we're down here having to reach for it. We don't want to dribble too high, but there's so much time in between, the ball being in your hand and the ball being on the floor. There's that really, really cool sweet spot that you can find somewhere between your knee and your hip, that you can get that basketball bounced into. And I can also get shot ready from there at any moment's notice. Becoming a great dribbler is centered around mastering the 3 simple dribble moves that everyone should have in their arsenal at every time. We talk about the crossover, we talk about between the legs, we talk about behind the back. Those 3 moves are the foundation for Any combination that you want to put together, any footwork that you want to have, any way that you want to create a shot or create space can all be based off of those 3 dribble moves and mastering what it feels like to have that ball moving around your body in those different patterns. All those come from being in a solid position, keeping our nose in the center of our body. I never want to be leaning from side to side out of balance and shifting like that. I want to be able to have everything centered and have that ball moving as fast as possible and under control around my body. So we do the crossovers is here. We keep everything centered. The ball is moving. We're between the legs. My shoulders are moving and throwing the ball between our legs. And on the behind the back, we want to make sure it's almost the same drill and the same feeling and movement as a crossover. I'm just doing it behind my back here. I don't want to have to be able to wrap it like this or do any of that because that's much less efficient to be able to move the ball from side to side and keeping everything stacked and everything centered and everything in balance. From all these dribble moves, I can always get to my shot pocket whenever I want to. So keeping everything the same, if I'm in the crossover position, at any time I can get into my shot pocket. No matter if it's at the right hand or left hand, going between my legs. I can always keep it here. And even on the behind the back, you might seem like it's a long way to get into my shot pocket, but if I have everything under control and my body's in the right position, I can always, at a moment's notice, bring it here and keep everything stacked, keep everything solid, and keep everything fast. When I'm in a game and I'm sizing up my defender, trying to figure out how I want to create space or set somebody else up for a pass or, drive into the lane to finish or even, knock down a jumper, 99% of the time, it's all based on one of those 3 moves or a combination of all 3. So it seems very complex at times, but at its core, it's very simple, mastering that between the legs, that crossover, that behind the back, and making sure the ball is on a string and on a rope attached to these hands. The key to becoming a confident ball handler is all about having intensity and aggressiveness and power behind your dribble. We want to have as minimal amount of time with that ball in the air. It either needs to be on the ground bouncing or needs to be in our hands so that we have full control over the ball and we allow ourselves to have the upper hand and the control over where the defender is. For me, I never worry about where the defender is or where his hands are because I know I have control of the basketball and it's going to be really hard for him to catch up to me changing hands from right to left with a hard crossover or a hard between the legs or a hard behind the back. Alternatively, if I do it as a soft dribble and that ball is spending a lot of time changing hands and a lot of time in that space in between, that's plenty of time for that defender to be able to size it up, either get a deflection, get a steal, or change up the rhythm of my dribble because I'm worried about where he is. So when you're thinking about becoming a better ball handler, you should focus on one thing, knowing that the harder that you dribble that basketball and the more intensity that you put behind each bounce will allow you to be a lot better, suited to make those combination moves, to put together all that footwork that you need to have. The softer the dribble, the harder it is for those things to happen with rhythm and to happen with flow and to actually be able to help you create space on the basketball floor. So don't be afraid to make mistakes. Don't be afraid to lose the ball when you're practicing because you want to go as hard as you can to challenge yourself to really understand what it feels like to control that basketball. This is a good way to start every workout. Just remember that everything is a progression. Start simple. Keep your hips loaded, well balanced, and drive the ball hard into the ground. Keep the ball outside of your feet. I'll usually start by doing 20 on each side, then 6 on each side, then 2, then 1. On the crossover, note how little my nose is moving. It's moving just a little bit, but not enough to shift my weight from one side of my body to the other. Remember, on these dribbles, you always want to keep your eyes up, never looking at the ball. On the between the legs, there's minimal shoulder turn.
It's okay if you pick your heel up a little bit when you're going between your legs. Drive the ball under your hamstring, not under your butt, to make it travel the shortest distance possible. And on the behind the back, you're not wrapping and you're actually not going behind your back. You're just going right underneath your hamstring. The ball is just moving side to side, just like a crossover, just behind the knee. Stay seated in your hips. Don't reach for the ball. See how my offhand is just hanging there waiting for the ball, and the ball finds it? Don't reach. A good way to practice these dribbles is to string them together in a combination. Try doing each 6 times, then each 2 times, then each 1 time. When you're thinking about the details of ball handling, the best way to check yourself is to ask yourself why you're dribbling is if I'm in this position, can I shoot from this position? Can I take that crossover move and turn it right into a shot-ready position and get into a perfect release? If the answer is no, then you need to readjust yourself and readjust your body to be able to make that correction. So some of the mistakes that some players make when they're dribbling the basketball is they get a little bit lazy with their feet. They get a little, they lose the details in your balance and your body positioning. And it creates a much larger distance for the ball to have to travel, which when you have, that time in the game when you create a little bit of space and you have to get that ball in that shot pocket. If I'm in this position and doing these dribble moves and having to bring the ball back around and then shuffle my feet to get back into shot pocket, it's going to take entirely too long for you to get that shot off. So that if I'm here, I'm doing crossover dribbles and I'm losing focus on where my body is, it just seems how loose the basketball is, and I'm not really ready to, at a moment's notice, get the ball here into my shot pocket. I can't shoot from this position. So we always want to keep our feet underneath us, as close to shoulder width apart as we can, keeping everything intact. And at any moment, I can bring it into a shot pocket and knock down that shot. Here, Brandon's dribbling with the ball inside his feet, eyes down and dribbling softly. You want the ball outside your feet, eyes up, and a hard dribble. Here, he's got his nose outside his body. He's leaning on one leg, dribbling too low, and dribbling softly. This is called palming the ball. You don't want to dribble with just the palm of your hand. This is what we call moving your body around the ball, not the ball around your body. You see Brandon's nose is turning and moving outside the frame of his body. His feet are too wide, and it's really hard to move athletically when you're moving the ball like this. He's driving the ball too far back, under his butt instead of under his hamstrings, and dribbling way too high off the ground. Here, look at Brandon's shoulders. You don't want to turn your shoulders too much when driving the ball between your legs. Keep that shoulder turn minimal and efficient. Here, he's shuffling his feet, which makes it hard to be explosive and hard to get up into your shot. Keep those feet stationary when practicing these moves. Don't bend your knees inward. Keep your lower body in a strong, athletic position. And don't lean backwards to chase the ball. Now that we've learned the mechanics of shooting off the catch, we want to be able to evolve that into shooting off the dribble. There's going to be plenty of opportunities when you're on the court where you need to size up your defender. You may be coming down in transition. It may be in the half court where you have the ball and a scoring opportunity, but you've already activated your dribble. You want to be able to understand what that feels like from a mechanic standpoint to shoot off the dribble, whether it's the ball's in your right hand, your left hand, one dribble, two dribble, if you're moving straight in a straight line or on an angle. The key is the ball may be moving in different directions at different speeds, but when it's time to get shot ready, your mechanics are exactly the same as your catch and shoot. They're just another element to the pickup that we're going to examine right now. So the simplest way to get into a shot off the dribble, we talk about a right-hand pickup. And there's a couple keys that you want to focus on. The pound into the shot needs to be really, really aggressive and really hard so that you can get that ball to bounce back off the floor right into that shot-ready pocket. And you can get that quick release off of the dribble. You don't want to have a lazy dribble because it'll slow down your release time. You also want to have that ball just outside your knee so that it's easier for you to get that ball in the shot pocket and the ball doesn't have to move side to side as much. I want to have my eyes locked in on that rim and not looking at the ball in order to lock in on that target and make sure I'm ready to shoot the ball once that ball hits my shooting pocket. So I roll it out, hard dribble pound right into my shot pocket and hold my follow through. So that last pound into your shot off the dribble is very key because you don't want to have to be able to reach for the ball. But that last pound being able to come back into shot pocket will allow you to keep everything in one motion so that you're able to use your foundation and the strength of your legs into your shot. Having to reach down for it will take everything out of rhythm and you'll have to reset in order to get that proper jump out of your base and out of your foundation. So that last pound has to be hard, has to be aggressive, right into shot pocket, and I'm ready to shoot. As a right-handed shooter, sometimes that ball is going to be in my left hand on that last dribble before I'm ready to shoot off the dribble. And so the mechanics of my shot should be the same, but there's a little detail that we need to address when it comes to bringing that basketball from the left side to the right side. So on that last hard dribble that I take before I get into my shot-ready position, I don't want to take my right hand and go reach for the ball on the side of my body and have to bring it back. I pound it hard and it gets about to hip level, and I bring it across right into my shot pocket ready situation so that I can take it from there and release into a perfect extension on my follow through. Sometimes guys will have a tendency to reach across their body, bring the ball back. That's just wasting time, and you're gonna lose that space and that you've created into your shot. We want to be able to pound it hard into hip level, bring it across into our shot pocket, and knock it down. Even when you start to incorporate the dribble, remember that all of your mechanics from form shooting stay the same. Start with just a single ball pound up into your shot. Again, aiming for 5 perfect makes in close to the basket. Then move back step by step. Remember that your eyes stay up and on the rim the whole time. Once you're feeling comfortable with the mechanics of stationary pickup shooting, then you can start to incorporate the basic moves that we worked on in the ball handling chapter. Just because you're crossing over or going between or behind doesn't mean that anything changes in your shot mechanics. Keep your stance and mechanics the exact same. Remember the basics of ball handling mechanics. Your feet don't move, your body stays stationary, and the ball moves around your body, not the other way around. On the between and behind, the ball travels under your thigh, you're sitting down on your hips, and the ball is moving underneath and into your shot pocket. You can practice pickup shooting with these basic moves, then start to combine the moves together into your shot. The combinations are endless, but only move on to these combinations when you're confident you can make 5 perfect makes in a row just off the single pound dribble. So the key to being a great shooter is having confidence in yourself no matter what the outcome or the result of the shot before was. I have the shortest memory in the world when it comes to me as a basketball player. When I take my shot and it leaves my hand, hopefully everything I did mechanically was sound and was what I work on every time I'm in the gym. But once it leaves my hand, I can't do anything about it. You got to live with the result, knowing that I have full confidence that the shot I took was the right shot to take at the right time and that I wanted to make it. But make or miss, that next shot that I take is going in. Doesn't matter what's happened before that. You always have to have the utmost confidence in yourself and be present and be in the moment. In order to have complete and utter confidence in your shot, that has to come from proper mechanics. And the only way for you to get proper mechanics is to put the time in to really perfect your shot. You have to get that muscle memory that you need. And the only way to do that is to just live in the gym. Get those reps in, put the time in to make yourself better, challenge yourself. And all that will just breed uber confidence in yourself when you're out there on the floor. Whether you've made 10 in a row, whether you've missed 10 in a row, you know you've put the time in to get better. And you can rely on that. It's not always going to be perfect. The journey has some highs and some lows. And there'll be games and there'll be some streaks where you just miss. And that happens. The best way to bounce back from that is obviously first not to lose confidence in yourself and that work that you put in, in your game and in your abilities. But also, you might need to just get in the gym and just have a little recalibration session. Just get by yourself, see the ball go in the basket. Remember what it feels like to have those proper mechanics. But also understand as a basketball player, whether you're a great shooter or that's what you relied on your team, there are other things that you can do to help your team win. And there are other things that you can do to impact the basketball game beyond shooting. So we don't live and die by that jump shot, even though we have confidence, or I have confidence in myself every time I have the ball in my hands. But you want to be a complete player and want to be able to do as many things on the court as you can, even if your shot isn't going in.